Thank you, Lord, for watching over us all night long, protecting us, Lord, from all hurt, harm, and danger, Lord. Lord, we thank you, Lord, for this opportunity just to be in the house of prayer one more time, Lord. We hope, Lord, that we will say something that will help someone and lead them to your kingdom, oh Lord. Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity just to be here, Lord. Help us to continue to praise your holy name. We ask you, Lord, just forgive us for our sins, Lord. Cleanse us, Lord, from all unrighteousness, Lord. Thank you once again for everything that you've done for us, oh Lord. For it is in the name of Jesus, Lord, we do pray and ask it all. Amen.
All right. I want to say thank you to our deacons for opening us up. Let me say good evening to all of you. We are grateful for all of you who have come out on this evening, and certainly we're grateful for your presence and for even those who are joining us online. I want to say thank you for coming out as we began this series of services this month, as we will be walking through a series entitled Healing Matters. It's time to talk. We will be focusing on mental health and also domestic violence. Again, these are some things that I shared with you on Sunday before last. These are some things that many have dealt with personally or know someone who's dealing with it. And so we want to make sure that we bring an awareness to our congregation in light of some things that have happened recently here in the city of Shreveport. I think it actually behooves us to be prepared for these moments. And so God has allowed us to partner with people who are professionals in both of these areas. And so tonight I want to, first of all, introduce, she is no stranger to the Galilee family, as she is a member of Galilee Baptist Church, but she also serves as the Assistant Chief of Operations for the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Department in the person of Jackie Winston. And so we're grateful to have our member here. And what we're going to do, I'm going to have her to come, and she's going to make her presentations, and those who are with her, she'll do their introductions. And then at the conclusion of their segment, I'm going to have Ms. Princetta Johnson to come and to introduce our other professionals who will be talking with us about mental health. So let's give a hand to Ms. Jackie Winston as she comes.
Good evening. Thank you, Pastor, for inviting the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office. Just like Pastor said, this is a much needed, is it echoing? It is? Okay. It's much needed, not only in the city, but all over the world. Domestic violence is real. And a lot of people, victims, they hide behind it for a lot of different reasons. So when the sheriff approached about coming up with a unit for domestic violence, we always dealt with domestic violence victims, but when he said, I want to start a unit, I was excited. So, and then 6 days later, we had the tragic over in Cedar Grove, everybody know about it. It wasn't only domestic violence, but it was also child abuse, if you look at it. So what we want to do is just come tonight and give some little insight about domestic violence, and things that people can do, because sometimes people are just afraid to leave for a lot of different reasons. Nowhere to go, money, he takes care of me, she takes care of me, and I can't make it without those people in my life. So they stay for a lot of different reasons, and then sometimes staying, and then they end up dead or injured. And sometimes leaving is worse than staying. I can tell y'all about that. We don't have that much time, but I'm a survivor of domestic violence. It's real, you know, and I hid behind it for a long, long, long time till I almost lost my life. And I tell you, I'm not supposed to be here today, for real. It's the only reason I'm here is because God said I'm not done with you yet. And I lived a horrible life of domestic violence. with 3 kids having to run in the middle of the night saying, where do I go, what I do? Don't want to go to my parents' house because I know my dad was there, and I wouldn't know what my dad would do to my ex-husband. Okay, it took a long time, I stayed for a lot of reason, because he told me, he said, nobody would ever want you. He said, you got 3 kids, nobody wants you. And I thought about that. I said, well, who wants me with 3 small kids? Yeah, so I understand domestic violence, but we're here just to bring awareness to say, hey, there is hope, and we can help the victims. And not only just females are victims of domestic violence. There are men that are victims of domestic violence, but men don't like to, they're a man, so I can't tell anybody, But we've arrested females. Yeah, we arrested females for domestic violence. And then when they have the kids there, they do things in front of the kids, well, that's endangerment because the kids see those things. So that's all we want to do. I am so happy that Pastor Collier decided to come up with this because this is needed, everybody. This is really needed. So the staff, we have the new unit, and so I'm introduced the unit. Our attorney is on a Zoom call with a client right now, but she'll be able to come out. There she is, that's Audrey's. But we have Miss Renita Williams, which is our intake specialist. And Miss Renita does 1,000 different jobs at the sheriff's office and in our office because I'm the assistant chief and I have 11 divisions, but guess what? They all run good because I have good people to take care of us and to make us look good. So I really, really appreciate Miss Renita. So Leslie Lacey, she has 2 names, Leslie Lacey. So Leslie come to the team. She retired from the DA's office, but while she was there, she worked in domestic violence. So she's no stranger to this. Years and years of service of helping victims. She'll call me in the middle of the night, Chief, I got a call over here and I'm gonna go do this. No, ma'am, you're not going by yourself. Okay, so, and our attorney is Audrey Reed, and we have her on our team. She deals with the protective orders, and then when they get a protective order, she makes sure that from beginning to end, she's there with them to make sure they come to court, because once that protective order is filed, a lot of victims don't know what to do now. They're scared to come to court because once we get the suspect served, or the offender served, then they're afraid, okay, he's gonna be there, she's gonna be there, and guess what? Once that judge say this protective order is good for so many days or so many months or whatever, we've had instances where they will leave out the courtroom, we have to escort them to their car because guess what? He will. And we had an incident one time where, years ago, that the offender actually shot the person at the courthouse. Yeah, it's real. So, and we have Sergeant Felicia Leary that's with us also. And Sergeant Leary is the sergeant of DARE, community relation, anything else that I ask her to do. She is a wonderful person to have on our team. So we just a team. And it's no I, it's no me, because they know I get in there and I work just as hard. So just because I'm the assistant chief, I don't tell them what to do. I tell y'all, tell me what to do, and we make it work. Okay, so we're glad to be here. And Ms. Lacey's gonna come up and give y'all some information. And if you want to ask questions, go ahead. That's what we're here for, because we want everybody to know that this is real. Domestic violence is real. Okay, ready, Lacey? Come on.
Good evening, everybody. How are you? Good. So my challenge tonight was to make everyone here aware of domestic violence and the warning signs and the impact of it. So I did it really basic. We passed out a handout, and so I'm going to go over that. And at any time, if you have a question, raise your hand. And and I may do a little ad lib off of the topic too. So here we go. Okay. So types of domestic violence or types of abuse there's a physical abuse, there is an emotional abuse, there's sexual abuse, and there's financial abuse. The physical abuse can be anything from someone pulling hair, punching someone, kicking someone, slapping, biting, choking, or smothering. A lot of times these things are done in private. People don't want to witness for that. Another physical type of abuse in a relationship is if you're forbidden to sleep or eat. Sometimes the abuser will use that against the victim. If there are children or pets in the house, they will harm them. to keep their victim subdued and keep them where they want them. They throw things at you, to you. If you have medical conditions, they sometimes will withhold medication or deny medical attention. I had a case several years ago where a young lady was shot 4 times by her abuser. He made her stay in the bathroom until they came up with a story that said, basically, he didn't do it, but someone drove by their house and shot her. So that is a real thing as well. Abusers will trap their victims in their home, their car. They will take them from place to place, maybe with only their supervision. They'll throw their phones, anything like that. Any type of communication outside of that relationship is forbidden. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, sorry. Some people say I have a large voice. So, okay. So we'll go on to emotional abuse, and abusers like to, I call it, pick on their victim. So Chief Winston touched on that. No one would ever want you. You have 3 children. They engage in name-calling, criticism, and then they tell you it's your fault for the reason, or you're the reason they're acting the way they're acting. So, you know, and that too is done in private, but sometimes that's in public. I know I've been in, you know, Target before, and I've overheard conversations like that. And it's really, you know, I want to step in. And sometimes if there's a child around, I'll start talking to that child to divert the attention away from that, that conversation that's not going well. That person the abuser will act jealous, possessive. They don't trust you. They tell you you're the one that's cheating. And they make you feel, and I think they make you feel that way because they're constantly telling you that. They're checking your phone. They're usually tracking your locations, following you sometimes. In this day and time, it's hard to get anywhere without someone knowing where you are. And with social media, people, I think, don't realize if you're always telling where you are, someone is going to find you, maybe that you don't want to find you. The abusers will isolate the victim from their family and friends. I've had several people in my office in the past tell me they haven't spoken to their mother in a year. They haven't spoken to their sisters or their brothers. They haven't spoken to their best friend. So that's a reality as well. And a lot of people, their best friends notice, and they may try to say something to that victim, but you know, they're in the situation and they're not going to see it, you know, as much as the person on the outside will see it. Your abuser will demand to know where you are at all times. And that's, you know, that kind of, I mean, I know they're in relationships, people are like, where you going? And it's for safety. But, you know, there is a line between safety and stalking, following, you know, why weren't you here 10 minutes ago? Where were you in between? So that behavior is alarming as well. There's abusers that will try to tell you what you can and can't wear and who you can and can spend time with, that goes back to the isolation as well. There's a lot of times where belongings are damaged, like you have special photos and that person, that abuser knows that, hey, these photos are special. They may break them, burn them, get rid of all your clothes, things like that. So if you ever are driving down the street and you see a pile of clothes in someone's yard, it's probably not because they wanted them there. And that's a reality too. There's also sexual abuse, and in even consenting relationships, there is sexual abuse. The sexual abusers, they may ask you or tell you actually to dress a certain way, that they want to see you that way, and it makes you very uncomfortable as the victim. They'll insult you in maybe telling you you're terrible at this, or no one else would want to do this with you, things like that. Call you names, different insults like that. They will ignore your feelings regarding sex. I mean, not everybody wants to have sex at the same time of day, you know, as somebody might want them to. So, if, you wouldn't say if you were a victim, you wouldn't be allowed to say, well, I don't want to right now. There's also hurting you with weapons or objects during sex. So I think we probably don't have to explain all of that, but, that's a reality as well. There are people that involve other people in your sexual activities. The coin phrase, the threesome, so that is, that could be a sign as well. There's also holding you down during sex without your consent. Like if you want to, it's when you decide you're done, or you decide you don't want to do it anymore, and they don't let you take yourself out of that situation. And forcing you to have sex and perform sexual acts against your will. And we know that that would qualify as rape. So, and people in consenting relationships and even marriages can rape the other person. So, and then we have financial abuse, and something that Chief Winston touched on as well. This person controls all of the money in the relationship, and if the victim wants grocery money, she has to ask or beg. The abuser may give an allowance, they may not, but they monitor and they watch every single penny that they spend. And if the victim does work, the abuser will make them give him or put the money in maybe a bank account that she or he, the victim, doesn't have access to. A lot of times we find that the victims, by the time they get to us, they don't have a job because this abuser has forced them to leave that job or has caused them to get fired. Showing up at their work, wondering what they're doing, who they're talking to, things like that. So another sign is refusing to provide money for bills, shared expenses, necessary things. Hey, I've got to take Johnny to the doctor to get his immunizations today. I need $25 for the copay. No, you can't have it. So that's one of those examples. Preventing you to access bank information, where your money is, then they're not going to let you have access or know anything about it. And then the ultimate is forcing you to quit your job, because then the victim is reliable solely on that abuser. So that is, by the time, like I said, when people get to us, that's where they are a lot of the times. So some warning signs, and again, I think that these, the warning signs are pretty much the same as they are as the behaviors, but you have, in a relationship, there's physical aggression. So if you're in a relationship with someone, excuse me, and it's been smooth sailing, well, all of a sudden, they're, agitated all the time, they're yelling at you, things like that. So, and you feel uncomfortable in that relationship. Agitation, if someone is extremely agitated all of a sudden. Appearance changes. A lot of times people become, to me, I call it disheveled, or they have crazy hair or something, or, they just don't really care about their appearance. There's substance abuse, drugs, and alcohol, which actually is the other things I mentioned that is a result of that as well. Verbal threats, I'll do this, I'll do that if you don't do this or that. Paranoia, so the abuser is paranoid. They will stalk you, which we talked about that. And like I said, in this age of technology, stalking is very easy to do. They violate your boundaries. Let's say you're in the powder room and you're doing your hair and makeup, and this person barges in and is sitting there watching you, and then he's constantly, he or she is constantly telling you, oh, you're ugly, why are you doing this? It's not gonna matter. So things like that. The controlling behavior, again, allowing and not allowing their partner to do things. Mood swings, high and lows, that's a lot of, I think, indicative of drug use as well. There's been a history of abuse in that person's past. I always say, what was their mother like? What was their relationship with their mother? Because I believe there's a lot of correlation with that. Has this person, how have they treated their previous partners in a relationship? Were they abusive to them, or things like that? And then jealousy. Jealousy is a big driver of all of these things. So my mom, she's 85, bless her heart. No, she always said, why do you want to be with somebody that doesn't want to be with you? And so abusers don't take that advice. They don't understand what that means. So, and it's very simple. I know I don't want to make somebody be with me or be around me that doesn't want to, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, So this is where you guys have to talk. No. So impacts of domestic violence. I have 3 questions. It says, one is, what are some of the ways that domestic violence impacts families and kids? So I think we can say kids with maybe school, things like that, whether they have a good friend group or not. They're not comfortable inviting people to their home. I think that the family is always hiding something. Don't tell anybody. Don't let it leave this house. So y'all are making me answer this now. What are some ways that domestic violence impacts the community? And that was a couple weeks ago. And that is there's a lot of things that can be said to that question. So everyone felt the impact of that. So there wasn't just a set amount of victims. Everyone has been a victim in some way or other in the community. And then how can you help your community in recognizing domestic violence? How can you help your community respond to domestic violence? And how can you refer victims of domestic violence to services? So I think what my challenge would be is if you see something, say something for sure. That is across the board. And you can always give someone our number at the Sheriff's Office, Domestic Violence Unit. You don't have to get into anything with that person, because I promise you that person will be thankful for you, because you may save their life. So, and that is all of my short little presentation and questions. Anybody? Yes.
You said when you see something, say something, but who do you say it to? Or how do you intervene? I see in a grocery store when, even with children, and there's yelling and pulling and all of that. So what is it that is the most appropriate way to respond when you see something happening?
So in a situation where you're, say, for instance, in a grocery store or a public place, if there is any person of authority around, then that would be your opportunity to make a report to that person and then let them be the ones to intervene and do what they're trained and responsible for doing. If it's a situation where it's a person that's a part of your community, a lot of times, especially within our community, we have golden rules. What happens in this house stays in this house. I mind my business. I don't mind theirs. And that's done us a bit of a disservice. So in situations like that, you hear what's going on down the street, across the street, every week. Make a report. Call in a welfare check. You've done your part, and then that's it. And going back to the impacts that it has on not just our communities, but our families, a lot of times what we don't realize is our refusal to intervene early on has lasting impact. For instance, children who witness this at home, what happens in this house stays in this house. Don't tell anybody our business. They go to school, and instead of confiding in administrators who are there to assist in situations like this, they go, and what happens is they repeat the behaviors that they witness at home on other children. And then early on, they start with juvenile detention and delinquency issues, and that progresses, and then they become exactly who, abused them at home. And so in order to stop the cycle, so to speak, we have to encourage, open your mouth and say something. Being quiet, minding your business, not talking about family matters, that's gotten us not very far. And so did that answer your question? Oh. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Hi, y'all. I didn't expect to speak much, but just to clarify, based on the situation, there's different things you can do. Of course, if there's actual physical abuse going on, we know law enforcement, we take place. One of the things that they both said, the victims, is being isolated. So making a connection with that person, if the abuser knows that they have support, sometimes they will back off. Providing any resources to that person, counseling, support groups, things like that. So there's many resources out there. They just have to go find them. When you go on a lot of hospital websites, they'll have resources on there for community, like behavioral management stuff, support groups, things like that. So depending on their insurance, there is some stuff available for support groups as well. So it's just knowing the situation, what they need, and then trying to find the resources that they need to. But just being a connection with them and supporting them and not leaving them alone.
Last week, I received several phone calls about an incident that was going on social media. And everybody was like, you gotta do something. Everybody was calling, gotta do something. I was like, I'm doing something. I had already given it to the detectives because my office is in the detective department. So we take that stuff very seriously. So what I did, I gave it to the captain. And so the victim, they didn't have any information on her. The person that called me didn't have any information. Our detectives went out and they researched where this lady did live and could have been living and everything, and they found her, right? So they go in and they told her, she said, yeah, he came in last week and he was hiding. He broke a window, he came in, he tried to, kill me and the kids. My daughter saw him, so long story short, we went, Cattle Sheriff's Office, and found this lady, right? And told her, look, there's help for you or whatever. So what I did, I called Miss Williams, which is the intake specialist, and then Lacey, called them. And I said, look, let's get on the three-way with the detective that went to visit the young lady to see what we could do. Maybe if the ladies talked to her, we could tell her, look, you don't have to be there. We have resources. We can get you out of that situation. Because sometimes, like I said, y'all, it's easy. And then you say, well, no, if I go over there, he's looking for me. You scared. So we went all out for this woman to get her to safety, the kids, just through the night. We can take you somewhere. We can get you a nice place. I'm good. So then we later hear that, what happened?
That she decided, if we're fast forwarding to today, she decided that everything is fine. She and her partner, father of the children, are going to work things out, and they are just fine.
And he was following her, cut her tires, breaking in, hiding in the closet. And we went, look, it's okay. We got you. We can get you out of here. We have unmarked cars. Nobody know. We can do this. Get that call today. Basically, y'all go kick rocks. But I'm not mad with her. You know why? Because there's a reason behind it. She's afraid. She's afraid. And we're going to get that call back. We're going to get that call again from her. And we're going to go out there because she said that she'd call another agency and they took 2 hours to get there. And so she was angry with another department that she called for help and they didn't get there till 2 hours later. Okay? So I'm not knocking another agency, whether it's the police department or the marshal's office, whoever. But if y'all need help and y'all not getting what y'all want, these pamphlets here, pick up the phone or call. If you can't call the numbers on here, call 911. I hear now we get a lot of calls where they say crash, iPhone crash detector, and they send us to those calls now. That if it's a crash, one day the other day we had units running too. You know what happened? She dropped her phone at the red light on the floorboard, but it sent a signal to 911, and we went looking for her. So it's help, but I know people are afraid, but we're here to help. Don't worry about the money, the insurance, or whatever, because Sheriff Whitehorn said, we shall take care of the citizens of Caddo Parish. Okay? So we have some pamphlets. Do y'all have any more questions? Because y'all sitting there with ask. We want y'all to ask these questions because we're here, and we want more of the younger generations. Y'all tell them next week, come out, because it's gonna get better and better, but we just wanna help everybody, because the kids are, we arrest parents for domestic abuse, violence on kids. Did you know that? Did you know the law on that? They tell us we can't beat our children. Well, it depends on how you beat them. Okay? Where you beat them at. Because some of them, they need to be chastised, as the old folks say. But it's not what you do, it's how you do it. That, and some parents, I feel sorry for some parents, because we have actually arrested parents for domestic abuse battery on their kids, y'all. And it's sad, because sometimes the parents need help with these kids, where the kids then told them, when I get home, I'm gonna, do this to you. They threaten their parents. And you got some parents that you just not gonna do that, if you understand what I'm saying. So, but it's a thin line. It's a real thin line, then getting help and going to Roseneath for Heavenly Gates. It's a very thin line. So, y'all have any questions, suggestions, something else y'all want us to, for next week? We'll bring more.
And this is designed for us to have engaging interactions and communications with the public. We want to know how we can best serve you all. So if there's a specific topic that you would like for us to cover, any specific questions that you have, target audience, location for the next training situation or session like this, so that we can make sure that we're getting this information to the people who need it and can use it, then that's great. If there's a specific type of publication you want us to get, say for instance, you know someone who needs some assistance and you're just trying to find a way to get them the information that they need. If you need us to find it, we'll find it, print it, and bring it to you. But we want this to be helpful. We don't want to, waste your time coming in here and talking at you. So if there's anything that we can offer to you all, please let us know. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that would be one of my questions. What can the church do to support the community when we're talking about domestic violence? Do you all have a program already established for the lay groups that can develop something that will help address domestic violence?
Well, what we do, and it's on our website, and we've gotten with the media, and what we do, we try to offer different topics, different classes. Sergeant Leary is sitting here with community relation crime prevention. That's another area that we work in. So we're always putting things out for the public to attend. I had already talked to Pastor about. We offer other classes like red flags, and that deals with kids, that the red flags, when you can tell that those kids are being abused sexually, mentally, or whatever. So I had talked to Pastor already about coming here, whatever night he said we can come, and we have different topics we can talk about, and it still leans, when you say child abuse, right? When they was talking about the incident happened 2 weeks ago, and they said it was domestic violence, but then you had the kids, so what is that? Child abuse too. So we offer all of those classes. So what we'll do is, you look on our website, different dates of the month, we do have those classes where you can attend. We try to have them at Safety Town. We try to have them at 1501 Corporate, which is across the street from the Cattle Correction Center, or we'll come to you. Sometimes my staff tell me, Chief, I say, you tired? I ain't tired yet. Because we go, we are full force, and I don't just send them, I go with my staff to help out. So we in all kind of locations all over Shreveport, because the city is in Caddo Parish. This is the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office, but the city is in the parish. So we're responsible for each and every one of y'all. Okay, so we also have an event Friday at LSUS, Domestic Violence Conference, free to the public. Just show up. Registration starts at 8 o'clock, And so we'll be there from 8 to 4 Friday. It's gonna be some more topics there. The sheriff put this together in a week, and he told us to be there and get it done. We did it. So we want y'all to come out. It's on our website, I think channel 12 and 3, some advertisement on it, but we have a lot going on at the Caddo Sheriff's Office dealing with families, children, like I said about red flags. We have even the kids that we call it choices, where it's a diversion program that to try to help children before they get in trouble, give them choices to do and make before they get to the juvenile system. Once they 17, you know where they go, right? They go to Caddo Correction Center. Okay, so we trying to prevent that too. And there's some abuse to go on with kids. Kids, they see it, and like she said, they go to school and say, well, you know, mama's in there kicking on daddy this morning. So then they go to school, and daddy in there slapping on mama. And they see it, that's what they do. And then they get suspended, or they call the parents, and the parents want to beat the crap out of them because now they suspended. But look what you're doing at home. So, and then to answer her question again, I go back to when she asked, you know, see something, say something. You can call anonymous, call the non-emergency number and be anonymous and just report it and say, I live down the street. I don't want to give my name, but you know, I hear somebody down there and I think they're getting the crap beat out of them. I saw this happen. Do something, say something. That you can do that. Pick up the phone, call the non-emergency number, or call 911. Let them tell you this was an emergency. Okay? So, yes, ma'am.
How often do you get invited into churches to do this presentation? I saw this on social media, and that's why I'm here. Now, I remember it was church, but I saw it on social media, and I've never known a church to do this. How often do you go into the church?
Well, Pastor Collier was kind, and he invited us. Most of the time when we get invited, they want us to come and do church security to teach the church what to do in case of emergency, like somebody coming down and now we're going to take over the church with, you know, church on fire, shootings, what to do. We get those calls all the time. But Pastor Collier decided that I need to do this. And when he had already talked about this before the shooting 2 weeks ago. He's always planning to do something. So the sheriff called me and he said, get to my office. I was like, okay, what do I do this time? And he said, well, he was like, I got this from Pastor Collier. And I said, he gave this to you. He didn't call me. And he said, well, he sent me an email. I said, okay. He said, well, let me forward you the email because, you know, I was ready to get upset because I like to make sure that I take care of anything he needs for the church. He's always talking about ways to bring things to our members. Yeah, so y'all can give him a round of applause for that. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I have dealt with in the past a 16-year-old with 3 children. And my question was, how is it that she got 3 children at 16?
I can answer that.
She's emancipated. And how does she know what to do with those 3 children at 16? And then the second thing that I had concern with was now that African Americans are freedom with their hair. Children come to school with their hair looking meshed, never been combed, just wild. And so this poor child, I saw her, and it looked, like I said, it was awful. So I gave the child, I asked the principal, if you think I can give her some shampoo and conditioner for her hair. And the school counselor thought it was okay that they knew that family and that I could donate the shampoo and conditioner because you knew that they were not taking care of that child's hair. In the church, when we
volunteers who can go in and help them, but is it anything that's at your level to deal with those kinds of things that you know is neglect?
Go ahead.
So, presently, I serve as an attorney for the Child in Need of Care Services in juvenile court. To your first point about the young lady, 16-year-old with 3 children, a lot of times when we see those children come in, there are multiple conflicts on the case. And what I mean by that is, she's a child, she's a minor, she has 3 children, and usually something happens that causes her children to be removed, which also triggers a removal of herself because she's a child from her mom. And usually what we see is a pattern. Her mom likely had her as a child or a very, very young adult with little support, little community, and the same thing, you know, going back generations. On a community level, and it's something that we talked about starting, not necessarily a pantry, but just a closet. Even going to your point about the young lady with, you know, the matted hair, having those items, you know, on hand just to donate. For me, I see children sitting at the bus stop on rainy days. I went to Dollar Tree, got about 15 ponchos, 15 little $1.25 umbrellas just so that I can have them, so I don't see them out standing out there, you know, in the rain. Having those items on hand, and you never know, that small act, them knowing where they can go for support in community. Some of these people don't have community. They live in community, they don't have community. Having that little bit, establishing that connection with someone, gives them some type of foundation of stability, of community, and shows them sometimes they don't have a good example of stability, any strong foundation. And so those are some things that maybe you all could do as a community. Like you said, you stepped up, asked the administrators about being able to donate those items. Hey, can I bring a box of things up there just for any kids that are like her that may need this? Seeing the young lady 16 with 3 kids. And it's not to say that the responsibility, so to speak, is on you to take care of her and her children, but sometimes that's all the support that they have. And so maybe establishing programs like that or reaching out to other organizations who have already established those types of resources. We have a list of community partners. We can call up one and say, hey, we got a young lady, 3 kids, she don't have no car seat. Can you help her get a car seat? And the lady was, give me 10 minutes. And we can get them the support they need. Even when it comes to shelter, hey, we got a young lady, 16, 3 kids, nowhere to go. Mom is upset with her, put her out. We can make a phone call and see about getting her the assistance that she needs, even if it's, you know, somebody being able to put her up in a hotel for a night until we can figure out some permanent placement for her. Transportation. Mom put her out, she got an aunt 20 minutes away, nobody can come pick her up. We can load her up, you know, take her where she needs to go. That's what community relations is all about. We're not just limited to the domestic violence unit. You know, we have several community partners, several other resources that we can utilize and access to assist people in that situation. And the domestic violence unit is new. So, you know, we're learning the additional needs of the community. And so when we say, let us know what is needed, we mean that.
I appreciate that, all of that, because remember I said she was emancipated.
Yes.
So we understand that she has made her own place and she got 3 children, you know. So for whatever reason, they already knew to take her from.
Right.
And she's by herself. So that's good to know that additional support, because she is trying on her own to do what she needs to do. So that's thank you.
And like the attorney was saying, each vehicle, sheriff's office vehicle, I made sure that we have car seats in case we have to, you know, move a family around. We're gonna have the booster seats, all kind of seats. Each vehicle is gonna have car seats in it that we purchased, and then we called on some of our partners, and I say, hey, so I need some car seats. And guess what? State Police bought me some car seats. Okay, so we teach them, we have those resources, y'all, and we're gonna do whatever we can do to help somebody. We move somebody in the middle of the night, it's a baby, no car seat, we got little Johnny. We're gonna put little Sarah in a car seat, and we're gonna do it. And if they need a car seat, because you'd be surprised that people are riding around, kids stand up in the car and waving at you at the light. You know, I pull them over. Hey, why that baby standing up there in the front seat? And guess what? Well, I don't have a car seat. Hold on. This car don't move. I had this real quick. One night I was working an off-duty job, and these people finished walking, and so they get in this Suburban, and this little bitty baby, and they was all packed in the car, and I watched them. I was like, wait a minute. I said, where y'all going with them babies? And they started making excuses. I said, I tell you what, it's a Target on Uri, it's a Walmart on Uri. You have any money? Well, we got some money. I said, well, I'm gonna stay here with y'all. These babies gonna stay here with me. Daddy's gonna go get car seats. And we're gonna put these kids in car seats. If he had said he didn't have any money, I was gonna call some people and get us some car seats. Because those babies are precious, but they'll do what mom and dad say, get in the car and jump around until you have a wreck, and then guess what? So there's a lot of resources out there. The sheriff's office, we gotta make sure that we can get it done. Okay, and this young lady that you were talking about, it's almost like somebody needs to go and check on her to see what they can do to offer her help. Although they saying she can do it and all, she can't. She's 16. Okay, some 45, we can't do it by ourselves. We need help. So if somebody go and just knock on the door and say, hey, I saw the kids out here, with a diaper on. Babies, anything that you need? And that's the community that, let's get out there and help that person. Yes, sir. I think 1 second. She was next. Ma'am, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
I have been in the presence of a couple of people trying to obtain restraining orders. And I want to know, why is the packet to obtain a restraining order so hard, seemingly?
This has been in discussion quite a bit with the Domestic Violence Task Force here. And our packet is about 4 times as lengthy as other jurisdictions, other states. We've reached out to legislation to see about changing that, streamlining it. I did a petition for a client last week, and I almost missed checking off some boxes. When you get to the order part, it's very confusing as to what can be checked off, what portion is for the petitioner to complete, what portion is pertaining to the petitioner's information versus pertaining to the defendant's information. We recognize that. We have reached out to lawmakers to see how we can, one, streamline it and make it easier, because we have lay people going into think about it. By the time someone gets to an attorney's office for assistance to complete a protective order that's not through a community program like ours, the threat has just been either eliminated or carried out. So these are people that are getting up the 1-2 hours that they have free, getting down to the courthouse, completing this application on their own. We understand that. We have reached out to lawmakers to see how we can streamline that process, as well as reduce the size and the length of that protective order petition. However, now we have programs in place where if they go to the courthouse, they can be referred, they have the option to complete it themselves, or they can be referred to, I believe, Project Celebration has a table or a desk in the Caddo Parish Courthouse to assist them with completing the protective orders. The individuals that are there have been trained on making sure that the protective order is completed, not only completely, but it has the relevant and pertinent information. We get a lot of protective order petitions that say, he hit me, won't stop calling my phone. And what they needed to have said was, they have fractured ribs. This has been going on for 6 years. He's abusive to the children. I have not seen my family or friends in years. They leave out so much because, again, this is probably the only 30 minutes they got outside of the house, and they're trying to make it count. So we understand that. I thank you for asking that question. We have been in communication with the relevant lawmakers, legislators, lobbyists to see how we can change the tone of the protective order procedure to match that of other jurisdictions to show we take this serious, we understand that this is severe for you, and we're not trying to make it unnecessarily difficult for you to obtain.
Yes, sir.
Forgive me for not standing,
That's okay.
but, as dealing with, as men that really try to do right by their family and everything, I am around a lot of guys, they're good guys, and I'm not gonna say it's domestic violence, but it's domestic take advantage. Knowing that they can leave the going, not going, they can just unload on you. And guide you this way, guide you that way. And it's coming out from your home, or outside your home, where you're trying to become comfortable with others, father, sister, brother. And where this is going is putting problems in your home. And so, and here it is that the husband and wife now get going over things that really not coming from within, coming from outside. Because man is not willing to address it, stop it, because of feeling. Love don't want to be disrespected. But we just, it's a situation to where men crack. Because number one, they're trying to take care of their home. They're trying to do right by God. But the Bible says don't want to do that. But you trying to marry, you're trying to run your home, you're trying to give advice to the person that's calling you, make you see it their way. And couples end up arguing, fussing over something and things that really bring, setting up cancer in their home. Husband and wife not talking, and it's domestic, I'm not saying obvious, but it's taking advantage of, and it's a different levels of domestic abuse. And so, as black men that I talk to, I just try to be encouraging to them. I need encouraging. And we all, as black men, try to lift each other up the best way we can, so we all hurt, trying to carry the load, trying to be there for them, and just wearing them down.
We get it, and I think that's gonna come on the line of the mental health part of this that we're gonna talk about in a minute, because in order for it to get out the home, somebody's telling Jackie, mama, daddy, because, they want somebody to hear that, I don't know why he's not taking out the trash. He know that's his job, taking out the trash. And then she called mama, and then mama called Annie, and then next thing you know, it's a big circle. And they're actually, this kind of thing should be stayed. We need to be able to take care of our business that's going on in our home. But somebody's telling somebody, then they say, well, I know you should have married him anyway. He probably got another woman, and that's probably why he acting like that. Then you have that big mess in your house, and it turns from just a simple conversation to domestic abuse. Because when that man crack, he's standing there and then he get to throwing that plate, he's take all he can take because she's steady in his ear. You take out trash day. I take out trash day. And that becomes a problem. But then that part there, we're gonna let the mental, the mental health people talk about that, because that's when they need counseling maybe. And so we're gonna let them address that before it gets to the domestic violence part of it. Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, any more questions?
Manday reporter. Oh, yeah. The baby wouldn't have went that Friday. But real quick, now that she brought that subject up, I was a juvenile investigator for 7 years. I investigated juvenile sex crimes and abuse. And let me tell you something, for something that she said, we had a 17-year-old and 18-year-old. They waited until the 18-year-old waited till her sister turned 17. They come to our office, 2 white girls. They walked in and they said, we need to tell somebody. It was like, tell us what, baby? Daddy has raped us our whole life, raped mama, and told mama, if you tell, I'll kill you. He worked down here at Brookshire's on North Market. We took the report and we investigated and we did everything we needed to do. And they said every night we have to have sex with daddy, and then daddy go have sex with mama. So I was ready to put mom in jail, but mom was a victim too. But we did what we had to do. We go to Brookshire's, we brought him in and interviewed. You know what he told us? He said, I wanted to be the first. I was teaching my kids how to be a woman, and this is what it happens, y'all. And they go through their whole life. But when we get them teachers or somebody call us, I promise you, we act on it. And we have a special unit at the detective department. He was up yesterday morning at 3 o'clock taking deputies to his house because we was watching him online with the kids and all that, and we got away. Yeah, you go to a certain site, we're gonna watch you for a while, but we coming to get you. And you know what the girlfriend said? That was my autistic child. That wasn't him. That was him. That was my child. You ready to take up for a man, your boyfriend, and sell your child to the devil. But you know what? The numbers on those devices, now where's that? We bought everything in there. We take things out of the house, and we know that was him, watching kids. While you in the room there laying there with him, he in there probably having sex with your autistic child. So we see something, and we get those signs, and somebody reported, y'all. Even if it sounds like it's nothing, when it's nothing, we know it's nothing, and we done with it. But we have the gingerbread house where we take kids and they talk, and they're a trained professional. We don't go in there. We be in another room, and we can talk to them and tell them what to ask these kids. But it's amazing how them kids go in there and they call they private parts, all kind of stuff. But you know what? That's what they taught, that this is my big, one little boy came in and he said, they gave him the picture and they said, name the body. So when he got to his penis, he said, that's my big whacker. He said, somebody's playing with it other than my doctor. Yeah, so they tell you when you get them in there, they gonna tell. And if it's mom and daddy, they gonna tell it. Because kids, it's kind of hard to get a kid to lie. Especially in 2026, they'll tell on you. Yeah, Gigi, you driving too fast. Gigi, you driving too slow. They'll tell it. So I think we're over our time now. But we appreciate it, but we want this place full next week. Bring everybody. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Winston. Ms. Princetta, if you would head this way. One of the things that Chief Winston and I have talked about, I know we're having this series through the month of May, but one of the things that we've talked about and still going to have conversation about, I talk about a curriculum at church. Yes, we come to church and we talk about the Bible. We talk about Jesus. But Jesus met people where they were. Jesus dealt with invalids. He dealt with sick people. He dealt with people who dealt with mental health. If you look in Mark 5, there was a man who was living among the tombs, cutting himself. So I believe that classes like this ought to be a part of the church's curriculum. The one place people ought to be able to come and talk and have real talk, it ought to be at the church, and that's why I'm grateful for Chief Winston, and because in this session, healing matters. It's time to talk. Now is not the time for the pretty conversations. We've got to put it out there. We've got to say those things that's going on out here. And again, there may be some of you who are sitting in here quiet. You may be a victim as well. Okay, and so we want to make sure that we're reaching the whole man, not just the spiritual aspect, but I believe the church ought to be, a vehicle that's able to meet people that's dealing with all these things. So this time, Ms. Princetta, I want you to come.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Pastor Corey, for this opportunity, and thank you for these sessions that you have started here for the month of May. It is my privilege to introduce to you Janice Horton, who is a licensed professional counselor and a licensed marriage and family therapist, amongst numerous other certifications that she has obtained. She is a counselor with a wealth of diverse training and knowledge in mental health. She is concerned with the welfare of children and families, willing to assist all in knowing who you are and loving every bit of it. Ms. Harden is retired from the Caddo Parish School System, is the owner of Sunshine Mental Health Counseling Services, LLC. She is a member of the best sorority this side of heaven, Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and she is my friend. I present and introduce to you Ms. Janice Horton.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you so much, Princetta, for the introduction, as well as thank you to the angel of this house for the opportunity to speak here on this topic. And hats off to you young ladies for the information you shared on this evening on domestic violence and that you'll continue to share throughout this month with the community. It is my privilege to share with you all, and I hope everybody has a packet. Mine is the green one. The information I'll be talking from will be in there, but I'll elaborate on it as well. I'm a little hoarse, so my voice may go in and out, but I'm going to give you what you need through what I have. So when Princetta asked me about coming to present, it was very easy to talk about this topic because I've been dealing with mental health for a long time. And in the past few years, I've taken out the opportunity to even present at the Louisiana Counseling Association on this topic, mental health, especially in the Black churches, because I know that that is something that's needed. So that's why I came up with the topic, let's pray about it, because a lot of times that's where we want to start, and sometimes people want to stop right there. But we don't need to stop right there. So we need more than prayer. So it's educating, as we're talking about, becoming aware, educating the Black church on mental health. We have our terminologies that we use, that we say, and I know I have some on the paper. But think about it. What is it that they call mental health? What are some of the ones that you all have heard or that you may have actually said yourself at some point in time? Crazy, that's the biggest one. Thrown off, crazy, retarded, psycho, imbalance. Yeah, I think y'all gave me something that's not even on here. Probably some more. Yeah, we have all the terminology that we can say, and we really don't know what it means, but it's been passed down from one person to the other because sometimes we're just not sure what it really means. And sometimes that mental health behavior is particular, and you can't really put a pin on it. But I promise you, I was intending to bring my DSM-5, and it's a book where we get these diagnoses from. Every one of us would be in there. Me too. I promise you. Because we all have an ism. There is something going on with all of us. And there's so many different levels to it. And the thing is, we don't want to just throw the word out there and leave it there like, oh, they throw it off. They're a little slow. They're crazy. And then we don't do anything about it. So when we become aware, we do want to try and do something. So here I went and dove off into the demon possessed. We're talking about the church, right? We're praying, so he's already mentioned. So what does the Bible say about demon possession? The Bible does give some examples of people being possessed or influenced by demons. So from these, we can find some symptoms of demonic influence as well as gain insights as to how a demon possesses someone. In that biblical passage from Matthew, the 9th chapter, 32nd verse and 33rd verse, they talk about the mute and demon-possessed man. Okay? In that DSM-5 that I didn't bring today is actual diagnosis that goes in there and talk about selective mutism. When you have a child that may be in kindergarten and they're 5, 6, 7, 8, you think they should be talking, but they're still walking around not saying anything. They have certain people they want to talk to, other people they don't. That is selective mutism. Okay? 12 and 22 also out of Matthew. The blind, mute, and demon-possessed. That's another thing. Now, we know that blind is this actual fall upon the health conditions. Sometimes people are born blind. Sometimes people can end up losing their sight in the process from untreated health conditions or just a variety of things. So we want to be able to figure out what that is. And then when it comes about the demon possessed, it's not always about from some of the movies we grew up with, right? What's that, Exorcist? What other movies y'all remember growing up? Scared watching them though. Carrie, Poltergeist, Come to the Light, Caroline, right? Yes, there was some truth to those things. There is some truth. So also in Mark 5, 1 through 20, it talks about an unclean spirit. So in your time, go back and read some of that and see how it may make a little bit more sense after we've had this discussion today. So in those passages, the demon possession caused physical ailments, such as an inability to speak, epileptic symptoms, and even blindness. One thing when I was looking this up about the demon possessions, I was watching some videos, and every last one of them, they always talked about, if you call on the name of who? Jesus. Jesus, Jesus. If you take out the time, look up on YouTube, and Asher said that. Call upon the name of Jesus, that demon shall flee, because he does not want to have to recognize or see the force that Jesus actually possessed. So there are spirits, right? We're just not talking about evil spirits. We have the Holy Ghost, but we also have the demonic spirit. So we want to be mindful of which spirit can consume us and make those things change within us. So Acts 16 and 16 through 18, the spirit apparently gives a slave girl some ability to know things beyond her own learning. She was possessed with the spirit of divination. So was she a psychic? Was she a prophetess or a fortune teller? Right? Because we have those people that's out there too. Be mindful of the people we connect with. Be mindful of the things that you do, who you talk to, who's into your head. Your mind is very powerful. That movie is a thin line between what? It's also a thin line between mental health and mental illness. Okay? So in case of the demonic of the Gadarenes, who was possessed by a multitude of demons, he had superhuman strength, went around naked and lived among the tombstones. Do y'all know that a lot of times people, when they become very angry, they get a lot of extra strength? That strength comes from adrenaline. Like, how did that man pick up that car in that moment? I don't know. He probably couldn't even tell you how he did it. Became possessed in that moment. That strength overtook him. So possible symptoms. There is a wide variety of possible symptoms of demon possession, such as a physical impairment that cannot be attributed to an actual physiological problem. Personality changes, such as major depression. Y'all familiar with that one? Or uncharacteristic aggression. That's when we're very angry. Supernatural strength, a disregard for modesty or normal social interaction, and perhaps the ability to share information that one has no natural way of knowing. So it's important to note that nearly all, if not all, of these characteristics may have other explanations. So it is important not to label every depressed person or epileptic individual as demon possessed. There is a difference. I brought up the demons, but that does not mean a person is demon possessed. There really are mental health issues that can occur from a variety of ways. Genetics. So when you go into the doctor and they ask you to fill out your paperwork, right? They ask you, do you have all these different type of physical issues? What are some physical issues they may ask you that you have? Heart disease, what else? High blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, right? So we have to sometimes go back and ask our parents, or whoever it may be, well, what do you have? So I can know if I have it or am I prone to having those things. Do you also not know that even schizophrenia and depression and things of that nature can be run through your genetic bloodline? So don't get embarrassed on that same piece of paper where they're asking you, do you have any mental health issues that run into your family? No, not me. I don't want to check that. Tell the truth, as they say, tell the truth and what? See, y'all know all the colloquialisms. Yeah. Tell the truth. Shame the devil. If you do have those mental health issues, check it on that paper. Because you never know how sometimes your physical health issues can end up turning into some mental health issues too. Or untreated mental health can have an impact on your physical health. Because what you experience at 5 years old can be totally different at 21. Because a lot of times with schizophrenia, it doesn't even show up until later. Okay? Mental illness is defined as Mayo Clinic Specialist. It's a term that refers to all of the different types of mental disorders, including disorders of thought, mood, or behavior, to be classified as a mental illness. The condition must cause distress and result in a reduced ability to function psychologically, socially, occupationally, or interpersonally. It's just a little, as we say, throw it off. Just a little bit, a little imbalance. We don't see everything the same. We don't move the same. We don't move different. Now, part of that can just be our personalities, because all of us are wired totally different. All of us see life differently. Some of us are very passive. Some people are automatically assertive. Some people are aggressive. Personalities vary. So when you talk about mental illness, they also may have trouble coping with emotions, stress, and anger. Trouble handling such things as daily activities, family responsibilities, relationships or work, and school responsibilities. Because yes, mental illness is in children. I know sometimes the pediatrician may say they're too young, or adults may say they're too young to know anything about this. But there are children at the age of 3, 4, and 5 that get diagnosed all the time. Have y'all ever heard someone say this child is too young to have somebody getting on their nerve? Are you too young to have anxiety? You need to go over there and hug so-and-so? That's a two-way kind of answer. Sometimes they may not want to hug because there's been some sexual abuse. Sometimes they may not want to hug because they're just a very introverted child and don't like people. Social issues. Okay? You just never know. So you can have trouble to a greater or lesser degree with one area or all of them. And you can have more than one type of mental illness at the same time. So I'm going to go through just a few of the mental illnesses that I'm going to cover today. Because remember, there's a really big red book called DSM-TR, and they keep changing about every 2-3 years because things kind of get reworded or they may find new diagnoses. So here we have the neurodevelopmental disorder, group of conditions with onset in the developmental period, manifests early in development, often before the child enters grade school, and are characterized by developmental deficiencies that produce impairments of personal, social, academic, or occupational functioning. As Princetta stated, I've worked in the school system. Just so happened to work in the special education department, which has changed its terminology. It's no longer special ed. It's now Department of Exceptional Children. Even sometimes we got to be mindful of our language. Them special ed children, them retarded children. People still use those terms, okay? There are different terms that we use now because we want to be more culturally sensitive as well as sensitive to the people that we work with. But in the Department of Exceptional Children, there may be children that's on the autism spectrum, maybe children that are developmentally delayed. Oh, I've had 3 children before. Those children didn't have any problem reading, writing, or walking. Why are you not walking and you 3? Could have a developmental delayed issue. Services are out there. He's not talking, she's not talking. They're not writing. They're not making eye contact. All of these issues are also falling up under mental health. Okay? ADHD, how many of y'all have heard of that one? ADHD, can somebody tell me what that means? Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, which is also very similar to ADD, and that's without the hyperactivity. Now, that's when you say, oh, that child won't sit still. They up moving all around. They won't stop talking. We've seen those, right? And a lot of times those untreated children turn into you all. They do. They do. Untreated diagnosis turn into an adult that has still ADHD. I don't know why I can't keep still. Well, they talking too long. Oh, I got to get up and move. Easily distracted. Doing all, but you learn to live with some of it. But sometimes you don't do well. You don't complete your tasks at work like you need to. You're not able to stay focused like you need to. So those things are very much so true. Now, there are things we can learn that are coping techniques for ADHD, but sometimes it does require medication. Medication is not a horrible thing. Can y'all please repeat that after me? Medication is not a horrible thing. It's not. These glasses I got on, I'm not having to wear them on a more regular basis. They have medication in it. Why? Because if not, I'm going to be up here squinching my eyes, trying to see. Right? Trying to be cute. All of that. Take my glass off, take a picture, smile, then throw them back on. Same thing for the medicine that may be needed for their child for ADHD. When you want your child to gain the knowledge that they need, okay? And there is more than one medicine. Sometimes you hear, oh, they've been on this, and they got my child walking around here like a, see, y'all filling in all the blanks, because y'all said it, right? That medicine may have been too strong for them. Just like my eyeglasses may have too strong of a medication, and it's not going to work for me. Take the child back to the doctor, get the medicine adjusted. Same thing, that child can grow out of the medication, because when they started, they was 50 pounds. Now they're 75 pounds, so they need, exactly. Give it an opportunity. But there are some natural ways, okay? There are some natural ways that people can change and alter certain behaviors, but then it's also within coping techniques, and you just learning to live with it. So it's that inattention, disorganization, as I said, inability to stay on task. That's the ADHD. Hyperactivity, communication disorder, stuttering, specific learning, reading, writing. Some of us have stronger areas, right? I do good with writing, but math sucks. It may really be an issue. Dyslexia. I look at the letter, but like it's an upside down E, or I can't do this. I start writing on this side of the page instead of starting on this side of the page. These are all things that we have to do because of our brain, how we're processing information, even how we're reading information. Going into schizophrenia, the schizophrenia spectrum, and other psychotic disorders. Those are delusions, fixed beliefs that are not amenable to change in light of conflicting evidence. They really believe what they see. I think I see spiders on the wall. There are people coming through the door. Somebody just called my name? Oh, I'm good, yeah. Delusions are there. Now, it could be a little different. Children have playmates, imaginary friends, right? Imaginary friend has their time period in life because their brain is still developing. But at some point in time, you should be socializing that child with other people so they can know what's real and what is not. The cutest little cartoon, I think, was called Imaginary? I forgot. But it was about a child growing up having an imaginary friend, but she still had it as an adult. Okay? Could fall into that whole delusion, hallucinations, because that's something that they've allowed themselves to feel safe with. Now, sometimes these delusions or hallucinations can come from UTIs, right? Once again, there we go with physical health, and there we go with mental health. Substance abuse. Oh, I was at the club, had a drink. I know we're at church, but we're at the club, we had a drink. Somebody put something in your drink, right? It's not just simply saying they're slipping me a Mickey. It really can alter your brain and your thinking. And now you're having these delusions or hallucinations. Okay? Comorbidity. Schizoaffective disorder, substance abuse, alcohol, cannabis, cocaine, inhaling. Some people don't like to drink because they say their parents grew up as drug addicts or alcohol, addicted to alcohol. That can be possible. Okay? But sometimes people get addicted to even caffeine. It can change your mood. Those people that want that coffee every day, what you say, don't talk to me before I get my coffee? Don't your mood change a little bit? Okay? Those are psychotic disorders, the cognitive disorders, the ability to think and reason, delirium, dementia, memory problems, Alzheimer's. It's not something that just happens as we age. It can happen before then. Once again, about the developmental disorders, it can start at childhood, adolescence, attention deficit, and even learning disabilities. Going into bipolar and other related disorders. Depressive moods. When people are depressed, what do you typically think about? How are they acting? Withdrawn, what was it? Don't want to do anything. One more person from back there. If they're depressed, how are they acting? Sleeping. Don't want to even eat. Okay? Be mindful of those things, especially if it's occurring on a regular basis. There are times we don't want to talk to people. There are times we want to be by ourselves. That's fine, but we are humans. We're not islands. We do need each other. We have to have that connection. The next one is disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. Temper outbursts. Like they just get upset out of nowhere. Just go off, get the tearing up some stuff. 0 to 100, for real. They missing all the things in between to try and calm themselves down. They miss the increase of heart rate. They miss the breathing fast. They just tearing up and stuff. It happens. Major depression, anxiety. You may have seen some of this anxiety even in your kids if you still have some for testing that just went on this past couple of weeks. LEAP test, ACT, graduating from high school, getting ready for college. Anxiety can kick in. Just that body not knowing how to process that information, okay? Even little children, separation anxiety. I don't want to be away from my mom, my dad. Someone said they were a kindergarten teacher. You see that a lot in the pre-K 3, 4 kindergarten time period. Separation anxiety. Social anxiety, panic attacks. There are a lot of adults that still even have panic attacks. Hard time breathing. Having a fear going into places. Stinking thinking started in your head. The negative stuff, everything just negative about what you can't do right, what they're saying about you. They're not even looking at you. You done came up with a whole thing in your head on what they're saying about you. But they're not. Hoarding. I don't want to get rid of this stuff. Parting with possessions, regardless of their actual value. Hoarding is a serious issue. It's just that TV show that comes on. Have y'all seen that? That's something. Yeah. Whatever their item is. And it can come from depression. Sometimes people may have grown up in an area when they did not have things and now they do have a little money, or they want to hold on to whatever it is, or their parents had some stuff and they don't want to get rid of those memories, but that still could be attached to depression. So you have to find the root of where the hoarding is coming from. Because within the hoarding is going to probably lead to other bugs and insects and everything else coming into the house. Unkept properties, okay? Hair pulling, picking of your skin. See, all this stuff has real names. It's not just that my nerve's bad, right? My nerve's bad. I'm picked all my eyebrows out, swirling in my hair. Next thing I know, I have a plug, right? These are actual things that falls up under anxiety. Also, trauma and stress-related disorders. It's not just for people that's in the military when we talk about PTSD. post-traumatic stress disorder. Anybody can go through PTSD. If you've been in a car accident, if you saw someone got shot, house caught on fire, anything that's traumatic to you, because what's traumatic to you can be not traumatic to me. So you can't take that away from that person, okay? And sometimes you don't actually have to be directly involved in the trauma. You could be traumatically impacted from something that you've seen, okay? So then you want to make sure you get that taken care of, because next thing you know, you're not sleeping well, you're not eating. You don't want to go to that place anymore. You're fearful of that environment. And then we have dissociative disorders. Body representation, control behavior, just different jerking, memory, emotional places. Somatic symptoms, pain or illness that bring about mental distress. Factitious disorder. There are sometimes people that have physical illness and they're always going to the doctor. Something's always wrong with them, right? It could be, or it really could just be in their mind. Same thing even for anxiety or panic attacks. When that chest may be feeling tight and they're thinking I'm having a heart attack, or like Fran Sanford would say. But you go to the doctor, they can't find anything. They do the EKGs, or you just having a panic attack. All right? So those things can have those same symptoms. Even feeding and eating disorders. Binge eating and anorexia, I know we're very familiar with those. But sometimes there are people that do very peculiar eating. Eating of paper, hard items, even your own feces. I know it's nasty sounding, but it does happen, okay? Be mindful of that. Sleeping, insomnia, narcolepsy, nightmare, restless legs syndrome. We need a certain amount of hours of sleep to function. So you have to get that sleep. So even if you lay down and you only sleep about 2 or 3 hours, that's not good sleep. Sometimes people sleep and they say, I'm a light sleeper. That's still not good sleep, because you haven't had a chance to allow your body nor your mind to just really rest. Your brain is constantly moving and taking in a lot of information throughout the day. That is where your dreams come from, okay? And sometimes those dreams are pleasant and sometimes they're not. They could be nightmares. Some people don't want to sleep because they're having nightmares. So there's a difference on how we may perceive those things. Even sexual dysfunctions, they're sexually or to experience sexual pleasure, they're having trouble with that. Delayed ejaculation, female orgasmic disorder, pain from sex. It's so many different things. Vaginal dryness. All of these are things that you have to try and take care of and be mindful of what's going on, not only with your mind, but your whole body. Gender dysphoria. Incongruence between one's experience or expressed gender and one's assigned gender. So that's the LGBTQT plus community. It's a lot of letters. It is the days when they just used to say gay, faggot, punk, what else? Lesbian, sissy, butch, bulldagger. Those are about 6 or 7 terms over the years. It's so many more now. There really are. It's so many more. So many more. But it still falls up under this particular category. Okay? And those are issues that we want to make sure that we are addressing accordingly for whomever it may be, regardless if I call myself a him or her, a shim, a ex, or whatever. When it comes to domestic violence, it's not going to matter, right? Because I'm a human. I'm a person that has gone through something. So we still have to be sensitive even to all of those things. The next one again is disruptive impulsive control or conduct disorders. We talked about oppositional defiant disorder. intermittent explosive that's just going on, pyromania, people that love to set fires. I'm telling you, it's something for everything. Substance, cluster of cognitive, behavioral, physiological symptoms indicating the individual continues using substance despite significant substance-related problems. Alcohol, caffeine. They just can't let it go. Why are they so stuck on that? So we have the different places in Shreveport that they can go get assistance for substance abuse. Also, again, with neurocognitive, traumatic brain injury, Parkinson's disease, Huntington's disease. Y'all can go and look up all of this good stuff. Give yourself a homework assignment. Go Google it. ChatGPT. Look it up. Find out more about it. Personality disorders, paranoid, antisocial. All these things are so true. Narcissistic. When they was talking about the domestic violence or how the man may try to manipulate situations, that's gaslighting. Trying to tell you one thing and make you believe something totally different. That's a person that's narcissistic because everything is falling up under them. It's all about me. It's not about you. I'm not in the wrong. You're in the wrong. And you have to do what I say. I got my thumb on you. Okay? All those things fall in that category. A dependent personality. There are some women, once again, that may not come out of the DV situation because they have a dependent personality. They're always relying on other people to care for them or be there for them. They don't have it within them to be independent. Everybody's not that strong as to say black woman. They may have a dependent personality that they have to be encouraged from the community or necessary people to be able to find themselves to break from those things. Even the exhibitionist, exposing of your genitals. And that's just a flasher. That's the name back in the days. Oh, they're just a flasher. Okay? They have exhibitionists. There are things. So all of these are bases of the mental health. So we're going to go to where it says treatment. I know y'all full and y'all been sitting here for a minute. That chicken and rice and peach combo was very delicious. Yes, it was, and the lemonade. So how can we take the first step? People may be hesitant to seek treatment for a number of reasons. They may think that their depression, for instance, or to just go away. Or they may consider it a sign of weakness. In addition, some people fear the stigma that's sometimes attached to mental illness. But it's important to understand that biological factors play a major role in the development of mental illness, just as they do with other medical disorders. So effective treatment is available that can eliminate or minimize your symptoms, improve a person's ability to function, and ultimately improve their quality of life. Now, some of these mental health conditions can be assisted from medication, some from learning necessary techniques to adjust, and some you just have to learn how to live with it. Okay? Those are the things that's just going to be what they are. So it says prayer, prescription, and counseling. It will help the dumb, the mute man in Luke, which is what? Selective mutism, the unclean spirit, self-mutilation. That's called injurious behaviors. I'm cutting myself with a pencil eraser or a razor. Why? Because I'm depressed or somebody messing with me at school, bullying. See, all these things can be intertwined and connected. I'm going to cut places you don't see. I'm going to cut down here. I'm going to cut on my thigh because my mama and them ain't going to look in that area. Okay? Self-mutilation. Self-injurious behavior. Or Job's wife. We know about Job. There was some depression there. And definitely an adjustment disorder. Then they came and took everything. Everything they had was what? Gone. That's PTSD. Adjustment disorders. How do I find myself again? How do I start over? That's transitional. Who can I lean on? Who can I talk to? Oh, because Janice was supposed to have it all together. How she lost all this? Right? Adjustment disorders. So in closing, Job 1:8. And the Lord said, Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered to the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth and from walking up and down in it. Oh, he's all over the place. Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his what? To his purpose. Any questions, concerns, complaints, or comments? Yes, sir.
So as a young man who goes to the Huntington High School, I see substance abuse.
You sure do.
So I see it every day, and I know.
Mm-hmm.
But how, as a young generation, can we limit the substance abuse and turn that abuse into seeking help?
Mm-hmm.
Because we live as a generation, how can we talk to the people that is older than us, that's supposed to be our elders, but y'all judge us every single day?
Yeah.
And we use, and that shows us in our mind, like, oh, they not going to accept me. Or if I tell how they feel, they're going to look at me crazy. Or they're going to call me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they use that, and they turn it to, well, let me go take this drug. Or let me go take this pen, and let me turn it. Because at the end of the day, if you listen to most of the high schoolers, they say, man, I take it because it get my pain away. Or it just get me away from the world. It limits away from them. So how can, as a young man, how can I tell or speak up about, hey man, you don't need to use that substance. There's somebody out there that you can talk to. And not let them, because, you know, it was people at my school that was getting laced.
Mm-hmm.
Overdose.
Correct.
I know friends that say, like I had a friend who told me, he was like, man, I'm finna go to the house and go take some perks. I was like, what?
Popping pills.
Popping pills. And you gotta know what makes him pop pills.
Yeah. Very good question and statement. And as you were speaking, I was thinking about one of my teenage clients that came to me because his mom was concerned about his overusage of marijuana, which is something that's becoming more okay, right, these days, because we have more accessibility to it. We have the stores, we have the pens, we have it growing in the backyard, whereas previously it wasn't as accessible. So as time changes, sometimes our morals and values change, and the things that we used to be able to say, well, it's not good for you because of this, we still could say that when marijuana has all these things. It could be laced with this, just like the vaping of the pens, regardless of where it may come from. It may not just be the strawberry kiwi flavor. It may have some THC in it, or you don't know what's in it actually, because they're passing it to you. And it goes once again to your mind. You're not thinking straight. But if you have a relationship with your friend, your homeboy, talk to him one-on-one. Because you know, we don't want to front nobody, right? Because that's going to put you out. And we don't, snitches get stitches. So in the process, you talk to them one-on-one. Every now and then, just dropping them little seeds. Hey man, what's going on? Well, you know, I read this, because there's a lot of good information out there about vaping. Alcohol, vodka. It's in the water bottle, right? It's water, it's vodka. No, it ain't. Y'all do it at work too. But anyway, how do we get out of that? Yeah, okay. They do. Okay. In that process, you have to go and find the information and come with your facts on this is how vaping is not good for you. Or even ask him, when you take it, how does it make you feel? You can't take that away from him because those are his feelings. That's his view. You don't know what's going on at the house, as you say, trying to get away from. Just like we don't know what's going on in y'all house that we trying to get away from. So that same vaping, same marijuana could be that same gin and juice, that same Hennessy or anything that we do to try to escape. Seriously. But it's only temporary. When we drink, when we're smoking, it relieves us, it relaxes us only for a moment. If we drink too much, we're going to have a hangover. If we smoke too much, we're really going to be snacking too much or laid out because our brain now has gone into a whole like war zones, warp zone is just kind of out there. And you'd have missed out on some things. People around you. You're not your regular self. You have to depend on others when your brain is not operating at its best function without the substance. And hopefully they're around people that care enough for them if they do pop that pill or do the vape, that they won't take advantage of them or hurt them in some kind of way. So my best way of saying is one-on-one conversations with your friend. You know what's right and wrong. All of us know what's right and wrong, but sometimes we're very much so tempted, persuaded, or life may take us to a point to where we feel as though we have to use some things to cope. I'm going to go back to prayer. Prayer is definitely good. Prayer is good. Prayer is great. It works. But in the meantime, remember, we're not islands. We need people. We have our school counselors. We have counselors in the community. That parent may have an insurance that may cover the cost of that. It may be covered through Medicaid. There may be counselors that counsel for free. Because there can be topics that your friend may want to talk about. You're like, man, that's a little bit more than I can discuss. But at least they came to you for that small bit. And then go whisper to your mom or to whatever other adult. Because when your children come to you, don't dismiss it, please. Don't dismiss it, because they're going to need that. And then you can go and try and find what other help that you can get for that individual. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it definitely can happen.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
You know, when I started in nursing 48 years ago, and when we did our history assessments, we did not discuss mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, and we didn't even know what an LPC was. And you know, I found that we will take our high blood pressure medicine, our diabetic medicine, you know, arthritis medicine, but we will not take our mental health.
Exactly.
medicine. And the Bible tells us that God is concerned about the entire man.
Exactly.
And it also says that knowledge is power. So when we become knowledgeable, thank you, Pastor, for allowing people to come into the church. Because one thing about black people, we'll go to church. And we need to become knowledgeable so we can take care of these babies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm retired, but I go to seminars. I keep myself knowledgeable.
Yes.
So when they come to me, I can refer them to you
Mm-hmm.
or somebody else.
That's right.
And you should be able to say, I can't do this. I'm going to send them to the LPC. You know, so knowledge is powerful.
It is.
It's very powerful because it didn't dawn on me one day. I say, oh look, we're doing mental health assessments with the patients when they're coming in. 25 years ago, we didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
All we wanted to know was your family history.
Family history.
High blood pressure, diabetes. So knowledge is powerful. We need to become knowledgeable for our future. This is
Yes.
our future.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you asking that question. And that's a great idea also. Take that back to your school. Is there anything else?
Okay, I'm gonna do mental health. Young men, because as someone who dealt with depression, outbursts because of traumatic experience or death in family or anything else or school related, how can a generation be vulnerable instead of being influenced to doing the wrong things, eating disorders, substance abuse? How can we become vulnerable to y'all or to mentors or to one of you? How, like, here's the question I have. How can young men, especially, how can young men start being vulnerable?
Oh, that's a great question.
Because it really starts as a teen
It
years,
does.
and it builds up into a grown man
Mhm.
age.
You're so correct.
We got, because I know I learned this, oh, what you crying for?
Yes.
What I'm crying for, man, I just got my feelings hurt. Fix
Tough-
your face.
Fix your face. Suck it up.
Suck it up.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Or you
holds-
better not cry.
Yeah. And that holds on to a child. And it caused them not to tell about their feelings.
And you're holding it in,
Yeah, holding
which
it
can
in,
cause
like
health
he was
issues.
talking about.
It can cause,
And it caused that major outburst. And that caused people
Yep.
to, what we said today, crash out.
yeah,
Young people crashing out.
they do crash out. Yeah, it can cause aneurysms, it can cause strokes, it can cause ulcers when you're holding things in. But you're so correct. At a young age, when you're taught that, you grow up thinking that as a grown man, that that's how you're supposed to handle
And
it.
then later on, when that child or that person is in jail or juvie, and you get somebody to speak to them, they start telling about their life. And they start telling about, man, I've been through this, I've been through that. But nobody would ever listen to me because I was taught to, oh man, just keep your feelings to yourself.
Hmm. Or you're too young to have those
You're too
things
young
going
to have
on.
those things.
But
But yeah, don't be weak. But y'all gotta understand, we may not have jobs, we may not have to pay bills, but we struggle as well.
you do. We know you do.
And it's crazy it is crazy that we don't want to tell how we feel because the people, like I said, like to judge us. You got to hear me before you judge me. You don't know what I've been through. At the
That's
end of the
correct.
day, it's sad, you know, because I lost a friend due to suicide. It was like, man, why did he just do it? Or
Correct.
why did she just do it? Because they ain't had nobody to talk to. And I feel like as a young man, you know, maybe, yes, I'm 17, but at the end of the day, I want to create an environment where I can start helping young people reach out to y'all.
You have to make yourself approachable
Oh.
at your age, at our age, because people are only going to come to those where they feel welcome.
And sometimes it may not be a grown person. It may just be your friend or your best friend.
Yeah. And even within that, when you've established rapport with that person, because we want to share stuff with people we trust, but sometimes when we're at that breaking point, it doesn't matter if I know you or not. I just need to get it out. I need help. But if you are around people that you do trust, allow that rapport to be built early on. Have that person you can talk to. Do some journaling. That's one way of getting it out your head. Putting it on paper. Journal. Journal about it. They have adult coloring books. A lot of times stuff like that is a way of just relaxing yourself. We have mindfulness meditation. Those are ways to just allow yourself to calm down, maybe when you're anxious or you're overthinking or you're not able to sleep well. Those are ways to give yourself a safe space. But you're so very true. Teenagers are going through so many things, and we have to know how to reach them and allow it to be in a space where it's a non-judgment zone. For them especially. But also remember for you all, we don't want to be judgmental when someone comes to you and they're saying, I'm having a hard time thinking, or I'm having a hard time with my finances, or I'm having a hard time with my relationship, or whatever it may be. If that person took out the time to come to you, they're at a place of needing that sounding board. If you can't do nothing else, just listen and nod your head. Because sometimes if you say something, it could be the wrong thing to send that person over the edge. And if you don't trust yourself, just smile, nod, and remind them they can go to Sunshine Mental Health Counseling Service. Or whomever else that may be there. But seriously, you have to have that. Because the one thing you don't want is to dismiss things. And when I'm thinking about the dismissal, it goes back to, because I used to be the forensic interviewer at the Gingerbread House. And I was talking about how the kids may share information, but the parents are choosing that spouse over that child. You never want to be in a situation as a child, you're trying to go to your parent, but your parent doesn't believe you. And then you're losing that trust. I have a lot of adults, clients, that's still dealing with stuff from childhood where they were not heard as a child by their parent. And it's been a broken relationship their entire life with that parent. And then guess what? It extends into their relationship with that spouse. Oh, it's so many things that just intertwine with each other. It's like a big spider web. It just connects. That's why to get to the core of it. And once again, Jesus and God can be your core. But we still got other branches right here amongst us that we can reach out and utilize. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Because he's heard that. He's heard already. If you scream, you're going to timeout. If you scream, you're going to timeout. If you scream, you're going to timeout. Almost screaming. So he's learning those patterns. The more the parent is doing it, the children are learning. Well, that's not manipulation from the child. He's just learning how they're parenting. That's what that is. There's no manipulation in it. But we have to be careful with situations because you do want to provide discipline and structure, but you want to give your child a voice. Because remember I talked about selective mutism? So all that kind of stuff can happen. We want that child to learn how to speak up and speak out. Not talk back and be disrespectful. That's different. But their voice does matter. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He can still be a person that's over it and bring other people into the organization. Mm-hmm. Has to agree to it. Mm-hmm.
Well, I can say this. I don't want it to be a school thing or a church thing, no disrespect. I want this to become a citywide thing.
Well, it starts.
Oh, yeah, it starts at school and then it moves.
Because like anything else, I heard about the bowling club at this school, so I want to get one over here, right?
Yeah.
So I heard about this over here, get it over here. Oh, I'm going to get that at Shreve, I'm going to get that at Northwood. Oh, them boys look nice in they red shirt. What's that you mean? Oh, I'm in the club. Oh, okay. And you get the word out, so it does spread like that to become citywide.
Because I know if it starts somewhere and then examples start showing up like, oh man, I went to this club and they helped me out and I let out my feelings, it's gonna start getting influence to add more people. And I just want to say, when I graduate, I believe that I believe in prayer and just taking action, this club will be established in the city of Shreveport.
Correct. Okay,
Hmm.
that's good.
Yeah. Thank you.
And just like other community things, like the Omega Lamplighters or the the Alpha Esquires or Kappa League. So all of those are options of young men that's being pulled together up under positive connotations and goals. Anything else?
Domestic violence and family attack and just divorce rates and things is skyrocketing.
Mm-hmm.
And people are hurting. They don't know which way to go or why.
Yes.
They don't know, they're trying to look, but
Crumbling. Mm-hmm.
and so this, what we got going on now is needed very, very much in society. Because you never know when the next one will pop.
That's true.
You can't catch it now, get educated on it, the right way.
Mm-hmm.
You can calm this thing down, and everyone start going back to the good way.
That's right. Thank you all so very much for this opportunity.
Certainly, I want to thank our presenters tonight. Job well done. Job well done. It's my hope that we can get this word out. Want to encourage everybody, if you're on social media, post it, invite people, because more people need to hear it. One of the things I want to say, I believe that prayer does work. I believe prayer works. But we've got to be reminded what the Bible says. The Bible says faith without works is dead. So we can believe all day long. If we don't do anything about it, then, we're still just at that, at that place where we're just stuck. So thank you all so much for your presentation. Hope y'all all come back all month long, because you all have been a blessing to us. So if there are no other questions, any comments, we're going to go ahead and dismiss, because I know the hour has grown late. But one of the things I do want to say to our presenters, be real. Be real. Be real. You don't try to sugarcoat it. Call a spade a spade. I want you to say it, because that's the way some of us have to hear it. You can use all of the fancy words, but sometimes you just have to just get down to what the old folks say, the nitty gritty, and because that's what some of us understand. So we're going to ask everyone, just bow your heads. God, how thankful we are that you've allowed us this opportunity. Father, we thank you for all the information that has been given to us. Thank you for each presenter this evening. God, it's our hope and our prayer that all that we're doing will make a difference in someone's life. Father, it's our hope to minister to the whole man. And so, God, it's our prayer that you would continue to give us guidance, that you would continue to give us direction. God, as we go through this life, there's so many things that we've got to deal with personally, and then as we've heard all of the statements tonight, we've heard the presentations. God, there are even people in our family that we know are dealing with some of these matters. So, Father, it's our prayer that we can be that light in this dark community. Thank you again for those who have come. Now, God bless us as we leave from this place. Dismiss us from this place, but never from your presence. Give us traveling grace. Lead us to our various homes and destinations. And we ask it all in the strong name of Jesus. Amen.